What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Andrew Hursh with us with the Hursh Group at Cutler Real Estate. And Andrew, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me to share your journey.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me, and look forward to chatting.
Yeah, we've been, we've been social media friends. I always joke, one good thing about doing a podcast like this is I get to connect with a lot of agents that either I don't know at all, or we're social media friends and we know, of each other. But you and I really haven't had that sit down, really get to know each other. And I'm excited to have you on because um, just diving into the journey, right, of how an agent gets into the business and finds their success and all that stuff. So we always start in the beginning. What was life like for you growing up as a kid?
It was awesome. So grew up. I would say you would say it's a small town. So went to Indian Lake High School. People don't know where that is, that's just past town. So we're about 55 minutes northwest of Dublin. But grew up out in the country. So small town, cornfield in my backyard. But grew up in an awesome neighborhood. There were a lot of young kids, and we were always outside, playing around, sports everywhere. So no, I always had a blast growing up. Love the people that I grew up with and the relationships that I built, and still friends with a lot of those people today.
So did you have any hobbies? I know you mentioned sports, and what did you get into as a kid?
Sports, and more sports. It's like that's all I did. So the funny joke is obviously I have kids now. I have three kids, and they're into cartoons and stuff like that. And I'm always like, I was never into cartoons when I was a kid, and I just don't know why. It was always sports. So I was just
Yeah,
consumed by
I
sports.
was.
So
No, I'm right there with you. I was always the one that had Sports Center like going on loop for like 3 hours, even though I've already seen the same highlight the second time around. I was still
right.
watching it.
But I will
So
say I will say, as far as a hobby, I was always known though to come home from school, and I would sit down on my living room floor and I would look through the newspaper. So I was always interested in current events, which I still am today. I always love to know what's going on around the world. So I guess you could say I was into the old school newspaper.
how did you pick that up?
I don't know. I just was always I always loved looking through the sports section of the newspaper naturally, looking at the box score. Kids these days don't know looking at the box score means, but was always do that. And then I would just naturally love to read headlines and see what's happening around the world. Every time we went
Yeah,
on vacation, I made my mom buy me the USA Today wherever we were.
that is funny. That's wild. Uh, I mean, Greg Coleman, and
Y'all love Greg.
I always joke with Greg. I'm like, I think you're the only person that I know that still gets a newspaper. Like, at least someone younger, 30s and 40s that still gets a newspaper. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So what was high school and did you go to college?
Yeah, so high school was great. Graduated in 2004. Went to college for a short period of time at first. Played basketball 1 year at Ohio State Lima, and then took some time off. Didn't know what I wanted to do really, and then actually had an opportunity with my aunt here in Columbus. So she opened the very first Smoothie King uh, spot here in Columbus and Gahanna. So had a great opportunity with her when I was 20 years old. Ran that, helped throughout the whole process. Went down to franchisee training in New Orleans for 2 weeks. So really gained a lot of business acumen and really kind of got hands on with the business world. Which looking back on that now, I'm like, what a great opportunity that gave me, and really made me understand, hey, this is what it's like to run your own business, even though it wasn't my business. It kind of was like that point in life that it was like, I want to either run a company or run my own business. So like I did that for about 2 years, and then moved on from that, and then ended up going back to college full time. So moved up to Bowling Green, and went full time and got my bachelor's at Bowling Green State University.
So I got to ask, do you still hoop?
I still hoop. Try to hoop every Tuesday night in Hilliard, and it's a good run.
Really?
Yes.
Oh man, I haven't touched a basketball probably in 2 years now. I played basketball. I love basketball. I just got too out of shape and embarrassed to run up and down the floor.
We'll add you to the email list. I mean, Wednesday mornings are a little rough. If your feet feel like they're broke.
I love it. So what did you originally just go to OSU Lima just to play basketball, or did you go for something specific as far as like, did you know you wanted to go into business? Obviously the second time around, yes, but the first time.
Yeah, so I always knew it's just my personality. I was always like, I just need to get a degree. I knew my personality would take me, where I ever wanted to go in life. So didn't really know what I wanted to do when I first went to college. So I originally just went for, your normal business degree. Basketball was a huge part of it, kind of pushing me into that first year of college. And then really once basketball season was over, I was just like, man, I don't know what I want to do anymore. So then kind of moved on from that for a short period of time.
So you had the opportunity to come to Columbus, and you said it was your aunt, right?
Yeah.
And your aunt, run, a Smoothie King franchise. Did you always have kind of like that need or that want to be in business, from, like, growing up? Like, was someone in your family always that entrepreneur or that business-minded person? Or is it because you were just interested in, all of the events in the newspaper and kind of studying, current events that were going on?
Yeah, I would say younger. So I didn't have anybody in my family that was really an entrepreneur. I would say though, as a younger person, everyone was always like, "Oh, you're such a people person. You're going to be in sales." So I always thought I'd be something in sales, growing up, and then really once I, had the opportunity with my aunt to run that business, it was more of a focus. I think, you know, not necessarily, hey, it has to be a sales job what I want to do, but it was more, I love that aspect of ownership of running a team. It kind of portrays off of that, kind of basketball team. I was a point guard, and I always say, hey, I always like to get everybody involved. And then once I had that opportunity as a kind of like upper tier in the business, I had my team and I had, helped them succeed. So I always felt that I would do something as far as a business owner and or, run a company, president, CEO, or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then, you're there for a couple of years. What was one of the things that you learned during that process?
Oh wow. Something I learned. I guess it would just be, you have a lot of things on your plate. So you can't, and I think that, when I look into real estate today is, there's so many things on our plate as a realtor, as a team lead, that you have to be able to juggle all those things. And when you're running a business like a Smoothie King and you're managing that, you're not just focused on one thing. You have so many different aspects of the business that you have to be on top of and make sure everything's running smoothly to have a successful business. So I think that really plays in my business today is, and you understand that as a realtor and team lead is there's so many different things that happen on a day-to-day basis and they're never the same.
Yeah, yeah. So you run that, you end up going back to college, get your degree in business. What was kind of that career path for you? Lead me from college all the way up to, okay, I'm thinking about getting into real estate.
Yeah. So ended up graduating college with just a business communications degree. Again, I always felt that, hey, I just need that. When we went to college, I feel like it was way more prominent to say, hey, you have to have a college education if you want to be successful. And today, you get kids out of high school that can run a six-figure business through YouTube. They don't
Yeah.
need that education, so they're more self-taught. So I knew I needed that, so I got that. Went into sales, so I went into an inside sales job outside Bell Fountain, and loved what I did. Didn't really love being in the office. I always tell people my manager at the time would always kind of heckle me to say, get back at your cubicle. You're always out talking to everybody. But again, that's who I was, and all those
Yeah.
relationships that I would be building. I'd get my work done, I'd hit my sales quotas, but that's just my personality. I did that for about a year and a half, and then a company approached me for an outside sales position. that would get me to Columbus. So, me and my wife were living in Ada at the time. She was my fiance then. She was teaching in Findlay, and we knew we always wanted to live in Columbus. So when I had that opportunity to kind of jump ship and go to the outside sales world, it kind of met two of our needs. Hey, I get outside sales, and we get to move to Columbus. So we kind of just leaped and moved up to Columbus and did that for about 10 or 11 months. And then, my leap into real estate. Tammy Oakley is a great agent in the Marysville area with Coldwell Banker. She's a family friend of my wife's family, and just happened to be at a family cookout and chewed her ear off for 2 hours about real estate. I didn't even have it on my radar. I kind of was always like, I like seeing, HGTV shows,
Yeah.
but never really thought, hey, I should go be a realtor. And then I talked to her for 2 hours and I'm like, man, this sounds interesting. I feel like I could do that. That seems like fun. And I always remember, she's like, if you ever decide that you want to move forward, let me know. I'll help you kind of figure out what classes you need and kind of give you all that information. Well, I went out and found that on my own, did everything. And then I remember I called her like 4 months later and I'm like, hey, Tammy, my last in-person class is next week. Can I connect with you? Because I need someone to sponsor me for the exam.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
I chatted with her and then ended up joining the Coldwell Banker office in Dublin first off.
So you really didn't have any interest or anything along those lines in real estate until that conversation?
I always saw real estate. I thought it was interesting. I liked the TV shows, but never was like, hey, I should go be a realtor.
Yeah.
Never really crossed my mind. I think it was just because I was in the thick of things of, outside sales and doing that and just didn't really kind of come across my mind, but I'm glad it did.
Was there I'm just curious, was there any one thing within that conversation that really piqued your interest and said, yeah, I should pursue this?
I think it was just the natural conversation with her of, no day is the same, but you also get to run your business. So I kind of took that, hey, Smoothie King mantra, entrepreneur, I could run my business. Every day is going to be different. And I've always liked that, have a little bit of
Yeah.
ADD, I like to have a lot of things on my plate. So fits me perfectly.
No, that's awesome. It's funny just, how sometimes agents just, figure out or find a way to get into the business. Sometimes it's, their experience buying a home was so great that they wanted to do it, or sometimes it was so
Right.
terrible that they're like, if they could do it, I can do it. And for you, it was a conversation, that really piqued your interest. And I'm curious, at the time when you were outside sales, were you like 100% commission, or was it kind of like a salary plus a bonus? Because
Yeah. So that,
making that leap of faith is a challenge at times for a lot of people.
yeah. So it's interesting. And I tell a lot of new agents this. So I was at that outside sales position. I was salary plus commissions and it was in an industry that I really didn't understand as far as I never had any prior experience. I kind of couldn't turn down the money aspect opportunity of what it was giving me, and super thankful for that opportunity. But it was just kind of in a field that I was trying to learn that first year. And then
Yeah.
when I had the real estate opportunity, I wasn't going to be able to continue that while taking the classes. So for me, and thankfully my wife, at that time we didn't have any kids, so I think our expenses were much less obviously than what they are now. So I was able to quit and go into my classes. But while taking my classes, I actually door knocked for Wow Cable, and so happy of that experience because I door knocked for like 5 or 6 months. And I don't know. I just think it does something for people understand that door knock. I mean, it's a struggle. You deal with a
Yeah.
lot of interesting people that they don't want you on their doorstep, but it's kind of
Yeah.
breaking that barrier when you're there, and it's giving you that. I think it really helped me when I first got into real estate, because when I got into real estate, I was able to go full time, but I had that experience of like, I know what it's like to door knock,
Yeah.
and just fight through those battles.
Now, did you do Wild Cable just because it provided that flexibility to do the real estate classes and to bring a little bit of income coming in?
Yes, yeah. So I had a family friend, one of my brother's really good friends, does it. He actually still does it today, not for a while, but him and his dad have door knocked for like 15 years, and they just crush it.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine. Hey, there's people, look, I always tell people, you know, real estate's just a contact sport. I don't care how it happens, and there's hundreds of ways to go and find success in this business. And there's people out there that still door knock and crush it to this day. I personally don't know how, but it wouldn't work for me. But I think,
Right.
the reason why I ask is, I talk to a lot of agents and they want to be successful in this business. I ask them, what sacrifices are you willing to make? And like for you, it was, hey, I gotta, leave this job that, I had a salary position at, and willing to, let's just say maybe take a step backwards to be able to spring forward into something that I want to do. Having that conversation with your wife, I mean, diving into to going into real estate and going from this salaried position, with commission to straight up 100% commission. What was that conversation like? What was that like? Because that's a tough. You said you didn't have any kids and it was just you two at the time, but
Yeah.
it's still a hard conversation to have.
It was. I mean, she was a part of the whole conversation. I mean, and she's, bless her heart, fully supported me. We were newly married. We had just got married like 2 months prior when I decided to take my real estate classes. And it's funny, we look back on it today. Her stepdad. I remember one time she came back and she's like, he couldn't believe that you don't get paid every 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, I don't get paid unless I make a sale. And like, obviously, looking out for their daughter, they weren't the most happy, but they look back now and it paid off, right?
You're like, hey, I locked you down now. Oh, by the way, big career change coming.
Yeah, no, but
um,
she fully supported me, and she still, she always says, "Hey, I knew you would be successful at it, and it was either now or never." Because again, we didn't have any kids, so it was a perfect opportunity at our point in life to either dive in or figure it out.
yeah, no, I'm just curious. You said she's been a huge supporter for you. Did you have any doubters, or did you have mostly supporters on your side when you made that decision?
I would say mostly supporters because I think a lot of people in my life, as far as in my circle, always said that they know what type of person I am, and always said I would be successful at sales. And so I think I did have a lot of supporters for sure.
What year did you get licensed?
2014.
Okay, okay. And what year did you graduate college?
2012.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so you're right. I mean, you're in the same, era of, we were kind of like that tail end of like college is still the thing. You got to go get the
mhm.
degree, at a minimum, and it'll help you get, that next career path. So I want to dive in to kind of that first year in the business. Did you have, instant success? Did you have struggles? Can you just kind of walk me through what that first year looked like?
Yeah, didn't get a paycheck till April. That was got licensed in December of 2014 and didn't get paid till April. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. Um, First year, I think I had 8 sales. So I had 8 transactions my first year. Had the opportunity to have 8 families trust me, and but I took something to heart early on in the business, and I was very thankful to be in a large office with a lot of experienced agents, a lot of teams in the Coldwell Banker office in Dublin. They probably had 115 agents in the office. They probably had, I'd probably say 25 to 30 that, again, this is 2014, 2015, 25
Yeah,
to 30 agents that came in every single day. So
yeah,
for me as a new agent, having that opportunity to go in there, have experienced agents around, being in the thick of things with them, even though I didn't have any business at the time, but what did that provide me? That provided me a lot of opportunities for open houses, a lot of opportunities that, hey, if you're busy this night, I can run out and help show your clients a house and kind of put in that, work on the back end. But someone told me early on, they said, if you want to be successful, you'll show up every day at the
mm,
office. You don't have to be here all day. You don't have to, and I took it to heart. I literally still run my business this way. I'm in the office every single day. If I don't have an appointment, I'm in here about 9 to 9:30 in the morning every single day. And I treat it like a business, and I always tell people treat it like a job
yeah,
and you're always going to be busy. And it's always held true, so many opportunities came for me just being in the office, learning the lingo from the other agents. After they're on a phone call and they get off the phone call, and I'm able to sit there and say, "Hey, I heard you talking about this item. Can you explain that to me more?" So then,
Yeah.
as I'm out with my clients, as I'm starting to get clients and get busier, I have all this lingo that a new agent probably shouldn't have, but because I was putting myself in a position to be around those experienced agents to say, I kind of have a little bit more knowledge and it makes me sound like I know more. So I
Yeah.
think it helped tremendously that first year.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of new agents sleep on. Like I tell every single new person, get into the office. I don't care if you have anything to do. It's the one thing that I did every single day as well.
Yeah.
I had a mentor. Obviously, I joined the team. I'm still with the same mentor and team lead from day one of my career till today. But it was office Monday through Friday for me.
Hmm.
It was office Monday through Friday, and that's just what I did. And I to even to this day, it's office equals work mode, right? So like I know when
100%.
I'm not going in to just BS around and do those things. Now, does that still happen here? Yes, 100%. But it was just that change of environment from getting out of my apartment at the time to apartment meant hang out, play video. I was 22, so it was hang out, play video games, not do anything, take a nap.
Yeah,
And I think agents just when I talk to them, like, get into the office. Like, there may not be much excitement going on in the office, but you're in the office. You're
for
you're
sure.
a real estate agent. And I think it's one of the things that a lot of people just sleep on, and they just miss that opportunity. They don't take it to heart that it really does impact their business, because like you said, you hear conversations, you hear lingo, you hear situations happening, and now it allows you to either pick it up just by listening, or it allows you to start asking questions.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of agents that are not in the office, when their clients are reaching out to them, they're always reactive instead of being
Yeah.
proactive. You're in the office, you can be proactive. Hey, I got a client looking for a 4 bedroom under 450 in Dublin and Hilliard. Well, when you're in the office mode, like you said, you're in work mode. You now I'm being proactive and checking the listings, and then I can send that to them rather than always reacting to everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it took you about 5 months to get your first closing. What did you specifically have a game plan in place as far as how you're going to go out and attract clients? Or was it family, friends, sphere of influence, or were you thinking leads, social media? Kind of what was the thought process to starting to build your business?
yeah, so everything for me really was always, sphere of influence, friends and family, and then open house opportunities. I would actually door knock and pass out flyers to neighborhoods because, again, I had that experience door knocking. So I was like, I can, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to give you information now. So, like, I'm breaking down that barrier. So I would door knock, but I was a huge advocate of open houses. Like, sometimes I would do two on a weekend, and a lot of my early clients and friends today are from open houses. But I would put myself in a position throughout the week to I would go to the gym, I would be in a basketball city league, I'd play softball. So I was putting myself out there, and I tell new agents this: you got to go do things. You can't sit in your house all week and expect people to just, hey, you're an agent, I'm going to call you. So I would
Yeah.
put myself in a position to be out there doing things in the community, and then it just naturally comes up. When you're hanging out with people, you're playing basketball with them, you're working out with them. Hey, what do you do? Then they're naturally going to ask you what you do. Oh, hey, I'm a realtor. And then you start to follow each other on social media, and then they see what you do. But I was also a huge advocate of social media, of constantly posting content socially from an early onset of my career.
Yeah. I mean, well, one, the social media part, think about it, 2014, it still wasn't that big of a thing,
Mm-mm,
not to what it is today, right? When
for
it
sure.
comes to business and branding and all of those things. But the one thing I took away from what the story you just shared about, going out and doing things is, and this is what I coach agents on now, not so much in the beginning of my career, but now is you did things that you enjoyed,
Hmm.
right? And you did things that were in alignment with who you were and your personality. When I said like door knocking that would be terrible for me. Like, that's not my personality. Some people, that is their personality and they can thrive. Open houses,
Right.
you crushed them, I suck at them, right? And what I try to tell agents, it's do things, either hobbies, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Well, if you guys have the same hobby, okay, well, you're connecting there. Now
For
it's whether or
sure.
not, they like you, which, you can influence that one way or the other. And then it's, hey, real estate's going to come up because 99% of the people that we deal with either own a home or they rent a home, right? Or an apartment. So
100%.
everyone's curious about real estate, whether they own or rent. It doesn't matter. Everyone's curious. And that's one of the easiest conversations to have. So that was, I'm glad you shared that, because, it was doing things that were in alignment to who you were, what you like to do, and how your personality is.
100, you couldn't have said it better. And then it becomes second nature because you're not trying to break down a barrier, because again, you're doing a hobby, you're doing something that you already both connect with because you're both there. Obviously, they enjoy it. So you've broken that barrier of that. You guys, exactly what you said, you like the same thing. And also, I tell people, you don't always have to focus on the first level. It might not always be that person that needs to buy or sell a house right now.
Mm,
But if they know, like, and trust you, the likelihood of them now to potentially refer you to someone that they're friends with goes up. And if
yeah.
you become a resource in general and you carry yourself well and you know what you're talking about, they're going to be much more likely to say, "Hey, my guy at basketball is an agent. You have to call him. He's such a cool guy."
Yeah.
So you can get so much more business that way, and it's just easy.
I like the way you worded that level. It's not just the first level, it's the second level or the third level. It's a concept that I picked up from studying a little bit of network marketing.
Hmm.
And in network marketing is, if I wanted you to come and join my product or my brand or whatever, yes, I want you to sign up, and yes, I want you to start selling the product. But what I really want is, I want the 100 people in your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
I want that list. And as real estate
Yeah.
agents, it's the same thing, like you just explained. It's not always the first level. It's, hey, who do you know, right? That is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Who can I help that Who can I help that is similar to you, that I can help. So I love that. So Andrew, walk me through kind of the real estate career. Obviously, now you have a team, right? You're at a different brokerage. Kind of lead me up to the point of making some of those decisions to building your business, and then the time that you're like, hey, I think I need to expand and start a team.
Yeah. So first year, 8 sales. Obviously, I can handle that on my own. And as your career progresses, year two really saw at the end of year one a lot of momentum. Year two um, had 32 transactions, so
Wow.
tripled. Much more, quadrupled my business in
What
year two.
real-
Go ahead.
what changed? I mean, that's a big jump.
Nothing changed. Didn't change anything. I just think it was a momentum thing of, you know, and also at that time, my age at 2014, 2015, a lot of people in my sphere are now starting to buy homes for the first time. So I think
Yeah.
that goes into play. And again, just out doing those everyday things. So went from 8 to 32, year three up to, I think I was like 43 houses, 43 transactions. And it was about that time, 2017, had a business coach, and they were like, okay, you're at a point where if you want to continue to grow, you're not going to be able to do that by yourself. You need to hire an assistant.
Yeah.
So started an interview, was scared to death. I can't believe someone's going to rely on me to sell houses so then I can pay them. And it freaked me out. And I don't know why. I think it was just so because our business is so, again, 100% commission. And even though I was busy, you're like, man, what happens if I have 2 slow months and I can't pay them? And it's like you think about all
Yeah.
the bad things that happen. So interviewed a few people, didn't find anybody that I liked or wanted to align with. And because I was so busy, I just put it on the back burner. So then it's like another year went by, and it was like, now you're up to 50 transactions, and the coach is like, you're not going to grow. Like I'm like, all right, let's start some interviews again. So then in 2018, ended up, finding a perfect fit. Amy Clark is my assistant, team transaction coordinator now. Now she's a licensed agent. But at that time, it was brought her on. Then I'm like worried about everything has to be done the way I like it. You know what I mean? So like I'm over her shoulder, making sure everything's like all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. And now she understands, everything that I want. So the tremendous, took a ton off my plate, took all
Yeah.
that back end work. Like Tom Ferry says, every transaction has 11 hours of back end work per transaction. So take all that off my plate. I'm able to focus on my business. And then it was 2019. I'm thinking, hey, I want to start a team now. I want to bring agents on. What does that look like? Then I started kind of exploring other brokerages, ended up, making a fit with Cutler Real Estate. Perfect sense for me and my business. Came over here and then started growing, adding some agents, cycled some off, added some more. So now we're up to 7 total people, including myself and my team. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love being a leader. I love helping other agents have success and showing them how to, hey, this is how you should run your business. And it feels like that entrepreneur, you're not just selling houses for yourself
Yeah.
and running your business. You're helping other people have success. You're having those conversations of growth and stuff. So it's awesome.
Yeah. I want to go back because I think this is where a lot of agents struggled, and you did a little bit because you put it on the back burner for a
Yeah.
year. But well, two things from that. What helped you get over that hump from a mindset standpoint, right? Because there's a lot of agents out there that are doing 35, 40, 45, 50 transactions. And depending on how your business is set up, if you're buy side heavy, like the majority of agents are in the beginning of their career,
Yeah.
what helped you get over the hump of saying, hey, I may not be 100% comfortable, but I know this is the move, because that paralyzes a lot of agents.
Yeah, I think it was just like, the coach in my ear, just like, and I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to do more business. I knew I wanted a team. So I also understood like, hey, if you want to have a team, you also have to have an assistant. You have to have
Yeah.
someone there that helps provide more value to them. They can't just, you can't do everything yourself. Also, at that time, my wife's having her second child. So there's more stuff happening at home, knowing that we're going to continue to have more kids. It's just, my time was shrinking of my availability, and I needed to increase that availability for, personal life, business life. So it was just, it's either, again, it's like when I went into real estate, it was like it's either now or never. You're either going to hire one or you're not. But it was a great fit. I mean, it was one of my past clients. It was one of her best friends. So yeah, and it worked out. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was so scary though. I mean, I remember when I made the decision to hire her. It was so funny because obviously, the process of hiring an employee or going through it. It's not like you'd say, "Hey, you're hired," and it happens overnight.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
going through that process, and I remember, our business. I made the decision, and then like that next month before she actually started, it was like I had like one transaction. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And then like her first month that she started, I had like one of my biggest months in my career. So I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah. The whole point is creating that leverage to allow you either more time or allow you to the ability to go out and get more business.
For sure.
And I think it's just giving that up a little bit, that will give you that freedom, that space that you need to go out and do what you're good at, which is most agents is, I need to meet more people. I need to get face to face with more people. I need to prospect. So the second thing I wanted to touch base on that piece of it is, you mentioned a couple times you had a coach. What was it, just you going out and seeking the information, or did someone tell you, hey Andrew, for you to kind of grow a business, you need someone there to guide you through this process?
So I knew that that was something I should always do. Okay, a coach is a great thing. Thankfully, where I was at Coldwell Banker, they were providing a coach for their top agents, and I was on the trajectory going up in my business, and thankfully, they provided a coach and was a huge help in my career as far as, hey, let's put things in alignment. let's figure, the way you should be doing things if this is how you want to grow your business. Because every agent, has a different mindset of how they want to grow a team.
Yeah.
Okay. So we understood that. And then, it was just, hey, here's the parameters. Like if you want to get to here, you have to hire an assistant. If you want to have a team of agents, you have to have this. So I always knew that that's what I needed to do to get to my next step in my career. And thankfully that I did. I would say, that was a huge help for me. So,
Yeah. I always say the majority of people get into this business because they either want to make more money, they want more freedom, or they want more flexibility within their
mhm,
within their day or within their schedule. And you can have all three, but it's hard to have all three when it's just you.
100%. It's impossible.
And well, and it's the mindset shift of I believe, and this is one of the great things that Ryan, my team lead and mentor, has always said, like, agents that are just by themselves, and there's nothing bad with this, but the reality is agents that are by themselves, they have a job, they don't have a business,
For
because you
sure.
can't leave the business and the business runs without you, right? And I
Hmm.
think the goal for those that want all three of those three things, the money, the freedom, and the flexibility of their schedule, it's I got to get into the mindset of I need to build a business, and how can I do that, and how can it run without me being there? And I think that's where a lot, the delegation, the giving up stuff, like you mentioned, like I feel like I had to like be over her shoulder, like looking and doing it, her doing it my way. That just paralyzes a lot of agents' growth because they're just so scared to make that next step in the journey.
For sure.
Andrew, lead me up to kind of current day. I think 2019, you said you kind of really started building the team. Lead me up to current day. How big's the team now? How are you guys focusing on building your business?
Yeah. So 2019 came over to Cutler and I think put my processes in place once we came over here. I really and that was I'm a huge advocate of making sure the processes are right and the things are in alignment before I make a decision to grow. And I think that has helped me as agents have onboarded and joined the team is we were here for probably 6 to 8 months, had all the process in place, how I wanted to have everything, and then you know brought on some agents. And then the thing that I like is now they join and there's processes for them. You know, they're
Hmm.
able to say, "Hey, this is nice. I have all these processes out for my business now. I have my packets made. I have my buyers and sellers packets that are curated for them, and they're able to function their business. Having Amy there to help also coach them and be their transaction coordinator. So then as a new agent, they're focusing on growing their business, then worrying about back end work. They can put something in contract, have a new listing, and then we have all the support and help there for them to be outgrowing their business and not spending as much time in the office or on the back end doing all their work. And my big thing is I run my team. I don't have like buyers agents um, on my team. So really the agents on my team are running their own business. They're able to
Yeah.
have listings. They're able to help their own buyers. And then I feel that, I'm giving them an opportunity to be on a team that has the right processes in place, the right help, the correct marketing, the branding, the name, and then, hey, let's grow your business that fits you and fits your wants and needs. And I always am an advocate of saying, hey, every year, what's your income goal? Because I don't want an agent that says, hey, I want to make $75,000 this year, and I'm over here trying to coach them to make 150,000 because
Yeah.
that's not fair to them. If they don't want to be, some people have families and they're just they don't need to be they don't need to make $200,000. Now, if they get the business, they're not turning it away. But hey, how do we put yourself in a position to reach your goals and not either undersize that or oversize it and make it fit for you and your family?
Yeah, that was one of the hardest things that I struggled with, was not putting my goals that I had for them onto them.
Right?
You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um,
Well, then it sets
it's
false expectations because
yeah,
you're saying, man, why aren't they doing this or that? But well, they're doing what what their goal is. So that's
Yeah.
what my goal for them should be.
Yeah. Curious of the processes and the systems and your mindset behind that. Did running the Smoothie King factor into any of that?
I guess I've never thought of that, but I would say maybe indirectly, like that's been put in my head of like how things should be. I think a part of it is also my personality. I like things to be like I'm a huge try to make things as simple as possible, or I shouldn't say simple, as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
So why create 7 steps if it can be done in 5 steps? Okay, well, let's put the processes in place so then it makes your life easier and they're done the same way every time because then I think it looks more uniform. I think it looks more professional. So I think that's a huge reason why I'm like that.
Yeah. I always try to, talk to agents about building their business to operate like a franchise. That's why I was curious
Yeah,
if
yeah,
your
that's
if
a
your
good, yeah,
background, because at the end of the day, if we can duplicate, what we do day in and day out, in theory, not always, but our clients
yeah,
should have the same experience, whether it was you or a member of your team, right? And then that helps you repeat success. Right. And when you think about it in a franchise mindset, Smoothie King, here in Columbus is the same as if it was in North Ohio or in a completely different state. You're gonna get the same product. And it's because they just systematized everything,
for
right?
sure,
So I was just
100%.
curious of if that factored into any of that thought process. Because most salespeople, right? It's like, hey, the paperwork and the process they don't think about because that's not their wheelhouse.
Right.
They need to be face to face with people. They need to be chatting it up. So, Andrew, I want to kind of I want to start now looking forward into the future of where you kind of want to go, with the team and in the business.
Yeah.
What's something that you're looking to accomplish here over the next 12 months?
I would love over the next 12 months, I would love to help every agent on my team crush their goal this year. And I think that's something that again, just my personality of loving to help others and have them succeed and have success. And I think that's something that, at this stage of my career in having a team, if I have a transaction, love it. But when I have an agent on my team, have a transaction, have success, it's like it just makes you more excited. You're just like, that's so awesome because then they're excited and then it builds momentum for them and their business and they get jacked up. So I think that would be something that I would love to see, 12 months from now when we're chatting again, to be able to say that.
Hell yeah. What's the goal of yours for the next 5 years?
Next 5 years. It'll be here before we know it, right? I don't know. I think, continuing to grow my team, I would love, honestly, and this might be something in the next 12 months. I have an assistant that's, obviously she's full-time transaction coordinator. I've been thinking, I'd love to be in a position to make another hire or two as far as a full-time marketing person that is able to add to my business and the agents on my team as far as, hey, let's have someone that's focused on marketing and creating content that's helping the agents grow their content and giving us ideas there.
What's a legacy goal of yours? What's something that you want to hit when you're no longer here?
That I made a positive impact on other people, not just in the business, but in life.
No, that's awesome. I was
Yeah.
asked that several months ago.
Never been asked that. That's a good question.
I mean, it was my good friend Mike Doyle, who's in the business as well. It was in a book that he was reading, and I don't think that question gets asked enough because we're always just in the day to day. We're always the 1 year, the 5 year, the 10 year. But what's that lasting impact? I love it.
That'd be a
Andrew, I
good
want to
one.
be
That'd be a good one to put on the bathroom mirror.
yeah,
See that every
yeah,
day.
yeah. Do you do that kind of stuff? Do you
I
do
do
vision
have
boards
some
and
goals on my bathroom mirror that I see every day.
yeah, that's awesome. How long have you been doing that since day one of your career? Or
No, actually, it was end of November of last year. I put it up for the first time.
nice, nice.
I've
That's
always
awesome.
I've
I
always been
just
a goal guy in my head,
yeah,
and then I did. I don't know if you've heard of the Ninja Sales Training. Have you heard of
yep,
that? So
yep.
did that about probably about 2 years ago. I did the ninja sales training, and it was funny. Always said I wanted a rental property, never did anything. In the class, I wrote down, pen on paper, I'm going to buy a rental property in the next 6 months. Within 30 days, I put my first rental property in contract.
There you
So I
go.
was like, man, I need to start doing this. So fast forward, at the end of last year, I put a set of goals up for the next 2 or 3 years on my mirror.
I love it. I want to be respectful of your time. I know we got a couple minutes left, but I always end with this last question. And it's, if you could give our audience, one piece of advice that either you wish you had or that you got or that you give agents to this day, what is that one piece of advice?
Show up. So it's simple, but honestly, if I could give that advice to any new agent or anybody that's, and it doesn't even have to be real estate related, but if you just show up, I think that's the first thing, but sometimes the hardest thing for people, whether that's at work, real estate, life, going to the gym. Just start with day one, just show up. And then day two, show up again. And I think as you continue to do that on a day-to-day basis, however, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you're going to look back. And if you show up, I don't think you're ever going to be mad at your result.
Yeah. That's awesome. Andrew, for one, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your journey and just sharing, the path that, you took to get to this point and the successes and the way that you thought about, growing your business and where you want to get, take it to next. But for those that are listening in, on the podcast, whether it's a buyer, seller or an investor, wanting to do something within the real estate space, or an agent that is listening to this that wants to just reach out to pick your brain and ask questions, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Yeah. One, thank you for having me on. Love chatting with you. But if anybody needs to get a hold of me or wants to chat or shoot me a DM, just 937-844-1431 is my cell. You can call or text me, or on Instagram, you can DM me at Hursh, HURSSHHH. And it's tagged below.
Awesome, Andrew. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. If I can ever repay the favor, please let me know.
You never know. I've thought about starting my own podcast. So here we go.
Let's do it. Awesome. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it.